Hi, everyone. Welcome to Freebird Spirit YouTube channel and Love is the Wisdom Behind Awakening discussion 34. And who's counting? But anyway, I am. And like any other discussion, I'm really excited about diving into today's discussion a little bit more in regards to someone we all know, Mary Magdalene, and her message, and how it fits where we are today and what it means for us today. So some of those messages. Chrys, can you read that quote, her quote?
Okay. This quote comes from the Gospel of Mary and opens the quote opens after the initial missing pages. And they've been repeated a few times. So what it says is every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists in and with each other. Every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists in and with each other. Right?
You're right. Yeah. And so, already talking, about how we are interconnected. And
it's even more than that, right?
Right. I mean, there's so much. I mean,
not even interconnected. It's more like
we are
all the same.
I'm
a tree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We are energy.
Yeah.
And the quantum physicists have a different way of saying it, but we're all energy.
We are all energy.
Exist in and with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm you, you are me. Right?
Right. And we say, I'm you, and it helps you, as soon as we can bust out of that separate type speak that we have. And, this is a great quote to, needs to be on a shirt. A new shirt.
Okay.
But, once we can grasp that concept that we are not an island, you know what I mean? And that we are interconnected. I am you, you are me. It's not them, they, you know what I mean? It's not them and us. It's we. It really helps with overcoming some of the broken systems that we have in place right now because of that thought. And speaking and bringing Mary Magdalene in today, she had just incredible understanding of that reality. And here we are in 2023, and we barely have that concept of that reality, right?
Yeah, I think I want to. I've been studying her and what other people have been saying, and the research that's been done about her, and that it's important for anyone listening that they understand that these histories are still evolving. They're not, we like to take like the Bible and think this is it, right? It is one document from one period of time, and there are at least 1,000 varieties around the planet. It's been reinterpreted. The Greek is nowhere near the English. So, in the original Aramaic, there's a lot here that's been misunderstood as well as understood. But I think it's really important to understand that Mary Magdalene achieved a great deal during her time that was very threatening to the social order. The social order that was very patriarchal. Thank you, Barbie. Very patriarchal. But where they had an investment in male authority, and some of his apostles were threatened by her because he seemed to be talking to her more than them. So what the church did, the early church did, was to create an image of her as a whore. And they've done this to women throughout the ages. It's the same strategy I think we talked about, or you've talked about, when you did Lily Deverell Blake. They tried to discredit her by saying she must have been loose, that kind of thing. So like, we can't take her seriously because why? Right. So I think it's important to understand that while we're talking about Mary Magdalene, we're also talking through the lens of a history that's been that's in the process of being reworked, and her reputation is being recovered, and some of what she brought to bear from the original teachings of Yeshua are important to pay attention to. So that's all. I just wanted to make sure that we don't buy into this idea that she was originally discredited.
Yeah.
So,
and but the role that she actually played in that close confidant of Jesus in that time.
Jesus and Yeshua are the same person.
Yes, Yeshua. Yeshua. Okay, so another part to this too. The quote that you said, every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists in each other.
In and with each other.
Yeah. In and with each other, right. Is literally love. It literally is all how you would describe that love. And part of what we're always here to love is the wisdom behind awakening. Well, we're all here. We all want to expand into higher or deeper, higher, whatever words you want to use here, awareness of really being in that space of love, in that energy of love. And this is, she says it right here. If we were to practice the energy of this understanding that we exist in and with each other, in and with each other, that is love.
That means we're all equal.
We're all equal. We just solved the world problems, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
We just solved it.
Yeah, which means that we're all trans. We're all nature. We're all genders. I'm struggling a lot these days because I'm in the middle of writing this revision. And I'm very struck by the attachment to this idea that gender is somehow naturally occurring. And it's not. It's highly variable, like all of nature. And that's what's so fun about this statement. Every nature exists in and with each other. We want to create little silos of humans. This group is good, this group is not good, this group
Right.
is male, this group is not really a good male, this is a good one, no, this isn't a, and I'm working on this whole wedding industry and looking at what the latest generations have called non-conforming gender behavior, which is the trans stuff. These are conforming gender behavior. This is an industry built on conformity, right? I mean, it's stunning to look at pictures and pictures of tons of brides, and they're all in white. They're all in white. Where else in American society is this quite as much uniform, right? And I was looking at the Knot site earlier today, and they had probably 50 people, 50 couples up there getting married or wedding or whatever, and it was same sex and the male female option, but it was, they're all still wearing white. They were all still, and as much as the same sex stuff is there, it's not really changing the landscape at all. It's making it more inclusive. But every creature exists in and with each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they become both a collage of sameness and at the same time it's inclusive. So it's really an interesting thing. But yeah. So,
and how, and people still want to, because we are also all so beautifully and unique to ourselves, unto ourselves, even though we exist in and with each other, right? We also are very uniquely beautifully made ourselves, in and of ourselves. How can we combine those two, where you're still allowing self-expression, yet living out I am you, you are me?
Was that a trick question? Every nature, every model's form, every creature exists in and with each other. So your difference is also my difference. Your sameness is also my sameness. Right?
Okay.
No, come on. You're going to throw me under the bus again?
No, we got to figure this out. So, I mean, we have to word it in such a way that we all understand. I'm just playing it out. I'm playing it out because, I'm being shown, like, no matter what you do, you throw a bunch of kids to kindergarten. They haven't been around any kids. They haven't been in a group yet before. You throw them all together, and you're going to have those who are wearing 2 different color socks because that's what they want to do, and that's who they are. And this kid is going to be wearing his t-shirt backwards because that's what he likes. This is me. I'm wearing it back. So you have this expression playing out, even when they haven't, society hasn't shown them yet to do that. They're just expressing themselves.
Well, I think what you just raised was the issue around little kids, and that our work is to really socialize them, right? To teach them the right behaviors in certain circumstances. And you just came off of a week with your grandkids, and it's like that's what they are doing. They're learning the social world at the same time, right?
But they come out with their own self-expression. Can't we just foster that, allow them
That's right.
their own self-expression within?
What you're doing is a balancing act. You're sort of saying, I'm going to teach you. Well, I used to say it to students all the time because they would come in with their own language, and I used to say to them, I'm going to teach you how to be bicultural or bisocial, which means I want you to be able to succeed in this world. I want you to be able to get a job and, go to school and do whatever you're going to do. but I also want you to be, happy with who you are. And so it's teaching them that the social order is set up in such a way that it has rules, right? It has norms, and it has punishments. I used to say to my students all the time, what is it you're not allowed to do? And they just sort of look at me dumbfounded, and I said, can you fart in class? No. And I would say to them, so there are certain rules, and there are certain social controls around those rules. So you need to learn how to make your way through that social order, but at the same time, you're okay just the way you are. And the person next to you is okay just the way they are. Right.
And that we don't have to make them like us.
Right. Exactly.
Even though we have to live in this social order.
We don't have to all behave exactly the same. Right. I guess part of it is what we've talked about many times about why we're here, what we're here to learn, right? I mean, it's much easier to get along with people when you say to yourself, oh, she's working that out in this life. It doesn't have anything to do with me. She's working that out in this life.
She's working it out.
And I have to take care of whatever it is I'm working out in this life. And they may not be the same and they may not be compatible, but exist in and with each other.
Right.
So,
and we do have something playing out, and it keeps coming in, so I probably should talk about it. We have something playing out in our news right now, in our face, in regards to I think it connects to several things that we've just talked about. But Lauren Boebert.
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, well, how can you not talk about that? I mean, here's this individual who we are having the opportunity to love and to extend, and again, Mary Magdalene is saying every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists in and with each other. And so we can stand without judgment of her behavior that was videotaped and for everybody's viewing pleasure. You can watch it over and over again if you want. But it, here's this, she's going to be judged harshly because she's a woman. And if another man in her same position, let's say Matt Gaetz was in the same position, he would not be judged as harshly. But she's a woman, so she's going to be judged harshly, I feel. And I feel like that her, like the people who have been supporting her will stop supporting her because of this, because it is now she blatantly overran the social norms or whatever, and it was caught on video, right? So, and it's interesting because when we're talking about Mary Magdalene earlier, Mary Magdalene showed me Lauren Boebert and how she's being judged.
Yeah.
And that comparison. Now, it's just an offering of today's current type of situation. It's not like Lauren Boebert's hanging out with Jesus and, that whole thing. However, there are some similarities, she's saying. And so I thought that was interesting.
There are some similarities between what?
How Lauren Boebert's being judged. Okay. Yeah.
But it's a version of what I was saying about students. It's about
Because she's a woman, she's being judged harshly.
Well, she's being judged harshly. She's being judged because she broke the rules around appropriate behavior.
Right, but if she was a man, what I'm understanding with this comparison is, if she was a man, she would not be judged harshly.
Yeah,
It would be more accepted.
That's what Barbie let us know about, was how patriarchy works.
Because you can see the man sitting there too. He's being just as inappropriate as her.
And apparently he was a Democrat, so that makes me even
I mean, and so, but no one, she's the one being judged, right? So that whole thing is where she's kind of going with this. But anyway, we have an opportunity to understand that here she's learning and growing, and this is where she's at. It really did show her age, her youth, her not being in a full awareness, yeah, offering us the opportunity to move from that space of love. I think
that what we're saying is that there's two pieces here. One is the social world, right? And the rules that gets created. And then on the other side, there is that she is in and with each of us, right?
Yes, she is.
Come out of another planet that we know of at the moment. So, I want to say, I don't feel like I want to judge her. I feel like she was not considerate of the other people around her.
Right. And that's where
and she was not considerate and respectful of the office that she holds and what it represents.
Right.
And so that's a little different than saying, oh, I'm going to go into my judgmental self. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna judge her as a human. All humans do what we think they are doing. But she is a creature that's exists and with each of us. But we've also created the social world, and we created the rules, and we've allowed them to persist. So when you bring up the patriarchal stuff, it's like we're the ones who have let that continue. We sort of numbed out when we got a bunch of stuff passed, like, okay, it's okay now, we'll work on a couple of other things. No, now there's a backlash. Now there's Project 2025, which is intended to make us all evangelical Christians. If only they read what Mary, the Gospel of Mary, said, maybe they would change their ways a little bit. But they still think she's not the right kind of woman. So,
well, exactly. And I'm glad you made that point. The Project 2025 and the Christian nationalists, they're the ones that will be cutting her off now because of this. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, exactly. Because she broke the rules around what's
right important. Now, if she had broken the rules behind closed doors,
right, nobody would care.
No one would care. But as soon as it became public, like it did,
you cannot represent us.
Exactly.
But
if it was a man, they wouldn't have judged this way. I don't think.
Well, certainly they didn't judge Trump that way, but
right, they don't judge Trump that way. They don't. They let that go. They fall. But as soon as she did, and that's where I think Mary was bringing that in. Why Mary Magdalene was bringing that in there. So because it's a woman, and so you can see that it's still underlining in our society that women will always be judged harsher. We see that every day.
So what does she think about this quote?
What does Mary Magdalene think about this
Yeah,
quote?
yeah.
Okay, let me ask. When she first heard this spoken, it was like everything shifted for her.
Mm.
She then, it was almost like putting it in our words, an awakening moment for her,
Mhm.
where she understood. That was the piece that, like, this quote, it was just like it brought everything together, where she, okay, I understand. And from this, this basically answers every question. Any question you have, put it through this quote, and it's going to answer your question. And so it was such a catalyst for her. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was such a shift for her.
Game changer.
A what? Game changer. Yeah, it was such a game changer for her. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. But then, any other questions that came in, or anything about anything, you put it through that quote, and that's the answer.
Mm.
The answer's there. What's the why am I here? What's my purpose? Put any question, and there's your answer. We are here in service of each other, in support of one another. I exist because you exist. You exist because I exist.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And yet we still try and kill off people we don't agree with.
Yeah. There are some that aren't to that because they're not in the understanding that we are in existence of each other, with each other, in each other. They don't have that understanding yet. They're not in that frequency or vibration, or however, whatever language you want to use for that. They're not in that awareness. That's how she's saying it. So little by little, we bring in awareness to those who are not aware. And if you are fully embracing that we exist within each other, I exist in you, you exist in me, we exist because of each other. If you truly are living in that, you have the ability to bring enlightenment to those who are unaware. And once you bring awareness to them, and they may respond from a place of pain, you're not responsible for how they respond to the truth or whatever. If you truly bring in that information from that place, enlightenment or truth or what it, to bring them into awareness. And they may respond, but no, you hit the mark. Mm-hmm. They might not go, oh my gosh, I totally understand, and give you a big hug. They may respond from a place of hurt and anger, or, anger is hurt, right? So, but that means you hit the mark and you started to move something, and that will bring them to an awareness that they didn't have yesterday. So little by little, you can't pull a person into your awareness. You can only bring them into their next ability of awareness, right? But if you truly lived from this understanding, it would hit the mark. It would hit the mark. I feel, Chris, what she's saying here is that we could, if we truly understood that we literally, I am you, you are me, I exist through you, you exist through me, that when we were to bring a message of awareness to someone, and we might understand that to be something of, we bring someone some truth to something. Mary is very cautious about using the word. She wants to use the word awareness. So that's why I keep going back to using the word awareness. So when we bring someone some awareness, we're coming from that place of purity and love, and it will hit its mark. It might not always seem that way on our end, because they might respond poorly to it, but it is hitting that mark, and growth will happen. Awareness will come.
That awareness begins with us. Mm-hmm. We're hoping it'll stimulate some awareness with the other, but it begins with us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so awareness that we exist in and with each other. I keep flashing back to what Mata said when she came in weeks ago. That about love being a frequency, and that while we think we know what love is in this life, that we really don't know yet. It really is.
Yeah, we're still coming into
frequency, and we're still striving to get there. And it strikes me that the way to get there is to understand that every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists in and with each other. Mm-hmm. And that becomes what the love frequency is. And that's only the description. That's not the lived reality.
Right.
What does it mean to actually live in this reality?
Yeah.
With everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
With everything we do. So that when I go and sit on the back deck and I look at the neighbors next door, we exist in and with each other. Mm-hmm. I haven't thought of them that way. I've thought of them as next door neighbors. They're different, right? But we're coming out of the same energy field. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to get to a place where we exist in and with each other, then what is it that she said to you? Was it last week? Week before? She said, Mata said, but entering the room, being mindful of the frequency when you enter the room.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what she said?
Yeah, your energy field precedes
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
So you can be intentional about what you want to precede you when you enter a room or go anywhere. If you're at the grocery store, what energy field do you want to precede you? I want to go into a room. I want people to feel peaceful and loved and seen and healed. I want it to be a healing experience. Even if I just sit quietly in a corner, I want my energy field to be to be preceding me within with that flow.
Yeah.
And so you can be intentional about that.
Yeah.
If you come home from work and it's been a hard day, what and your energy field is going to hit that house before you get there. What do you want to bring home?
Well, how do you get there?
Yeah.
How do you get there? You've had a hard day and you're
Be
entering the
aware.
house,
Yeah.
and the people in the house have not had the hard day that you had, and you're mindful of your frequency, but you're agitated about something, or
it's not it. A lot of times what happens is we get caught in that energy of feeling that we were wrong that day, and it was a overwhelming day, and I'm angry about it. I was wronged. I feel, slighted, or whatever it is that happened to you in that day, and you just want someone to see you. You want to go home, and you want your partner or roommate or whatever, you want whoever you live with, whoever your dog, whoever you're with, to see you and recognize that, and say, oh gosh, that was horrible, I can't believe that. And but you can do that without carrying that energy with you home. And guess what? They're not going to see you how you want them to see you anyway. They're not going to experience what you want them to experience with you the way you want anyways. You're the only one that can do that for you. So if you're driving home and you're in that space of hurt, anger, frustration, this was unfair, whatever, injustice, all that stuff that you're carrying from work, tell your higher self, because your higher self is the one that will hear and be able to take care of you better than any other human that we have here. You are your best listener. You are the one that will be able to hold you and hold space for yourself and that energy better than anyone. So say it out loud to your higher self and release it before you get home. But when you get home, being in, always in that mindset of in service of others. And sometimes it's like, I'm the wounded soldier today and I need my wounds being checked. That's okay. That's okay. So allow that, move in, but know that when you go in and you share your wounded soldier self and have that time, I don't know. I just feel like you have a choice in that before you get home. As that wounded soldier, how you want to proceed with your wounding and how you want it. Do you want it to bring the sins of others onto your family, or and bring that energy home? Or do you want to kind of take care of some of that and just go, okay, yeah, I have a cast on, and we're going to work around it, but I do have this. And you'll see that how you present your wounding, if you're making it everybody's fault, I don't know. big one, Chris.
No, I know it's a big one. And having lived the life of a cancer survivor for the last 3.5 years, you're very aware. I am very aware that there are days when I'm like, doesn't anybody really notice that this, or when I've gone through some really hard times, I've really worked at trying to say, we talked about this before about the nurses. I was the one who was always saying, so how are you today? To try and be attentive to the caregiver at the same time, to be aware that my frequency is going to affect their day. And that it needs to be, we need to share our frequency, right? We need to share a goodwill, right? That I need to be patient. I need to be aware of them, and they need to be aware when they're aware of me, and somewhere in there we're going to find some common ground. And that's what it means when you say exist in and with each other, right? So it's hard to come off of something that's really hard like that and come home where people are waiting for you, and to come in there with a frequency that's up, that's not sort of what I've just been through kind of stuff.
Well, and I'm not saying that I don't feel like we're being asked not to share our true experience, or what we're feeling. I don't feel like we're not supposed to do that. But it's what our expectations are behind it. What are you expecting when you come home angry and frustrated?
Well, maybe what you do is say, I'm feeling angry and frustrated about what just happened to me. Is this a good time? What's your day been like? And find some time for each other that honors where we each have been, and how to get through it and get over it. Versus I come in and kick the dog, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's
and we're supposed to feel things and work through things. But know that you're powerful in your energy. Just be aware. I mean, that's the biggest takeaway here, I think, is being aware. You just be aware of that you are powerful being, and your energy really will move a room and change a room. And so just be aware of that and be intentional as best you can. And if you have a bad day, you have a bad day. Make sure you talk about it, and you aren't forced, you know what I mean? You're not bringing it and putting it on everybody else.
Of course, I'm reminded of the kids we just talked about. It's about saying to them that you have to be aware of the frequency you bring into the room, and the frequency that's already there. It's called reading the room. I want to.
Right. I mean, and it is, as empaths, that's what we constantly do, is read the room. We are very aware of everybody's energy and what everybody's bringing, and extra important of what we're bringing, and also not taking away, talking about your cancer journey. And it's like sometimes you go and everybody's kind of living their life and laughing and doing all their normal thing, and all you want to do is scream out, don't you fucking know I have cancer? I have cancer. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. Like, we're not taking that away. I don't mean to. So I hope that's not how it came across. It's just being aware. Just be aware. And BB was barking.
Well, I'm aware that the frequency she's carrying right now is the frequency of the cat next door.
Oh, the cat.
She has to
next door.
scream at it and not be aware of the frequency she's shedding at the moment. I did want to add a piece in of which is what Megan Watterson says when she goes through this passage. And she says, sometimes in moments of crisis, which is essentially what you're talking about, but it's a love that renders us all equal.
Mm.
It's a love that says, I am not separate from you. We exist in and with each other. It's a love that reaches everyone, everything, and everyone. If we all exist in and with each other, then we are all inextricably connected. No stranger, no immigrant, no alien, no other.
I love that.
Right? Isn't that great?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And in that awareness, as the person who is going through the challenge of whatever that is, acknowledging, if you acknowledge that as well, you know that you're not alone in it. Although, you know, the world wants you to believe that you are, but we are not alone.
Well, you know, I have to say that my understanding of being alone is very different now. Because to be alone in the past would mean, oh, I'm feeling like I need people around me. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to go visit somebody, or I'm going to go to the store. And I'm hoping she'll stop any second now. Anyway, when you can't get out,
yeah,
and you're alone,
mm-hmm.
and when I went through on, was it Saturday? I realized that everybody in my little team Chris was busy. Everybody was busy. And so it's like, gee, I'm glad nothing bad has happened because I wouldn't be able to reach anybody. So it was a moment, you know, it's a different kind of alone. And that's the kind of alone that really pushes you to, and there are many kinds of alones, but that's one of the alones that pushes you to a place of really having to dig deep.
Yes.
And not run the numbers that we've all learned about, oh, woe is me stuff. And, you know, how do I take care of me? You know, that kind of stuff. So it pushes me to get to a place where I can call on my guides. I can call on the spirits around me. I can do the work that I've come to do, and you know, I can say, oh, I'm a little low, I'm gonna go watch something funny, you know. I sort of I'm like taking care of the instrument, you know. It's like trying to get through it without it being what I think happens to people in certain circumstances is that they get to a place where it's like, I just don't want to go on living.
Yeah.
You know, or I just don't want to, yeah, or I'm going to go have a drink, or, you know, the various things we do to try and get past that.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you're not thinking,
every nature, every model,
every
creature
with each other. You're not thinking that.
Yeah.
But you are, yeah. So what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, I mean, what would you think?
If I was in that position?
Yeah.
You know, in times like that, you know, allowing that to process through, but going to that toolbox, like you said, we have new tools now, we have new awareness, and we can't go backwards. So I will never experience grief the same way as I did a week ago. I won't, you know, I will never experience aloneness like I did a week ago. because I'm in today, and I'm in a new awareness of our connection, right? So I may get triggered because I am in this body and this human experience, and I'm still experiencing this human experience in this story. And I may be triggered, but I now, in this new awareness, the trigger won't take me down the same paths as I used to go.
Yeah.
So as life goes on, and triggers are going to trigger, challenges are going to continue to come, but I will respond differently because of my awareness. Mm-hmm. So I'll still experience the trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so don't let that totally defeat you in that triggered moment, but it just offers you another opportunity to connect into the collective.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up the piece about tools. I think one of the things we've been doing is developing these tools. And one of the things I've noticed when I'm in that space is that spirit gives me little hints that they're here. They show up, and they show up in totally unexpected ways. But what I've learned, the tool that I now have, is to look for them, to look for the signs, to look for the messages. Usually they come in forms of synchronicity. Or I say, so what do you want me to learn from this? This is interesting. How can I make use of this time? What did you set up so that doesn't happen at this moment, or it does happen at this moment, that is sending me a message? So it's a different way of interacting, and it goes back to the feeling of not being alone. We're not alone. Right. So it's really,
even though that's like one of the biggest things we battle as humans.
Yeah.
We feel alone in everything.
Yeah. Well, we're so three-dimensional that
yeah. So the more you're out of that three-dimensional space, and when you're triggered, that's a three-dimensional trigger, right? Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. Well, Chrys, thank you again for this discussion and hanging out and being willing to guide and teach us and share. And to the family here, thanks for doing these discussions with us. And again, we are both so grateful for the comments and your participation in them as well. So
can I just read a passage from Mary before we go?
Yeah.
Go then, preach the good news about the realm. Do not lay down any rule beyond what I determined for you, nor promulgate law like the lawgiver, or else you might be dominated by it.
Wow.
Like the lawgiver, or you might be dominated by it. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a great ending.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, and hugging you all. See you all next time.